In this lecture, we are going to create this male-female icon chart. The technique that will be discussed can be used with any pictograms to create an eye-catching infographic or dashboard element. Wherever you want to represent key percentages and you can connect icons to them, it's worth to consider using this method. This solution works in Excel 2010 version and above. Now let's get into it. Let's click on cell A1 to make it active. I type in 65%. Hit enter. Click on cell A1. It's important to make this cell active before we move on. Let's go to Insert and click on this very basic column chart. Let me grab its frame and drag and drop it here. Notice that even this simple chart object consists of several different elements. You need to have the same selection that I have in the video in order to see the same options. If you mess up something, don't worry. Just hit the Escape key on your keyboard to quit from an action and hit Ctrl Z to undo if necessary, and start over. It takes some time for beginners to get used to Excel's logic and behavior. That's perfectly normal. To eliminate mistakes, let's hide some elements that we won't use. Click on this Chart Elements button. Let's uncheck this primary horizontal axis and the chart title. Now make sure that you click outside your chart somewhere here. Let's go to Insert and click Icons. This icon library was introduced in Excel 2019 and Office 365. If you have an earlier version of Excel, no worries. We will use a better option anyway. Just hold on for a few minutes. Excel offers lots of icons in this library. Let's go to the people group on the left. Click on this male icon and hit Insert. Now there is a way to assign an icon or picture to the column on the chart. But we need to set its color first. We have several options to do that. We can choose from this Graphics field drop-down under the Format menu. Or we can right mouse click on the icon and choose from the field drop-down. I usually use this option. To tell the truth, I'm not a fan of Excel's theme colors. I like to choose my own. So let's go to More Field Colors item. Here you can find two tabs. On the Standard tab, I choose this turquoise blue. Hit OK. Now here comes the trick. Let's right-click on the icon and choose Copy. Or you can alternatively hit Ctrl C on your keyboard to copy this icon to the clipboard. Now let's click on this blue bar. Make sure that its corners look like this, so it's selected, and hit Ctrl V on your keyboard to paste the icon. Good. Now let's click on cell A1 and type in 25 for example. Now if you hit Enter, the cell selection will go to cell A2. If you want to stay on A1, hit Ctrl Enter. Now the chart has updated, but not the way we expected. The scaling of the vertical axis has changed. I'd like to see it as solid 100%. Let's double click on it to call the Chart Options pane. Let's click on the axis again to select it, so that the pane on the right shows Axis Options. Let's click on this last Axis Options button. Expand this first item. Notice that there are auto labels next to bounce values. It means that Excel automatically scales the axis based on the data value. We don't want that. So in the minimum field, let's type in 0, hit Enter. And in the maximum field, let's type in 1. Hit Enter. 1 basically means 100%. And the vertical axis now reflects this. And it will stay that way whatever percentage we give. Let's type in 45. Hit Ctrl Enter. Let's type in 85. Hit Ctrl Enter. The mail icon size is updating, but it's still not the way we want. Fortunately, there is a setting that can help. Let's click on the icon so it becomes selected. Click on the first paint bucket icon. Inside this fill section, look for this Stack and Scale with option. Click on it. Now the icon starts to look like it should. Let's type in 100% in cell A1. That's okay. However, the man seems a bit stretched. We change that. Let's click on it. In Series Options, let's pull this gap width slider to the left to about 85%. This will make the gap smaller between the icon and the frame of the chart. Let's click off the chart to see how it looks. It's still not perfect. Watch these gaps at the bottom and the top. We have a 100% input value, but the icon doesn't cover this precisely. Let me take the icon size bigger. The reason is that we have a gap on our source icon too. Let me hit Ctrl Z to undo. Let me show you why this is an issue. I type in 98%. The chart still shows the full man. 95. Now it starts cutting. Let's see 1. Nothing is shown. 3. Still nothing. We need at least 4%. If you don't need high precision and you have icons in your Excel version, you can go with this option. Otherwise, you can use the following solution based on out-of-the-box thinking. I took the standard Excel icon, imported it into Photoshop, cut the top and the bottom, made the surrounding white area to transparent, inverted the image so the man body had become transparent, and saved it as transparent PNG image. You can find both the male and female versions in the resources next to this lecture. Please download both PNG files to your computer. Now let's select the icon on the chart. Let's go to Fill Options. As you can see, now it's Picture or Texture Fill. Let's set it back to Solid Fill. Let's select the original icon and hit Delete on the keyboard. Let's select the chart. Make sure that only its frame is selected. Let's go to Insert. Click on Pictures and choose this device. Locate the place where you saved it from Resources. Click on the mail image file and hit Insert. Now the transparent image has been inserted inside our chart area. That's why it was important to select the chart first, then do the insert. If I drag the image, you can see how it covers the underlying bar chart. So the image we just imported has a man-shaped hole in it and a white color surrounding. Now I'm trying to resize it. No, it's the frame of the chart. Let's undo with Ctrl Z. I click the image again, go to Format. Here we can set its size. Let me take its height smaller, so I can grab the image frame nodes. I move it a little bit downwards. Now I can grab this node to pull it upwards. And release the mouse button. Operating with objects in Excel takes some practice. Don't get frustrated if you do this for the first time. Now let me enter some test values. Let's see 99. I can see that little slot on the top. Let's try 1%. That's good too. 35. 75. Now it would be good to make this remainder area gray. Let's select the inverse icon. Hit Ctrl X to cut it. Click somewhere here outside the chart and hit Ctrl V to paste it. Now let's deal with the chart to have that gray background bar. Click on the chart. Make sure that you see exactly these selections. Right-click on the blue area and choose Select Data Item. You should see this Select Data Source dialog window. This is where we can tell the chart which data to use. We have only one data series at the moment, which is basically one number, the 75%. This data series is shown as a blue bar on the chart. We are going to create a second data series to show a gray bar. So let's click on Add. Excel automatically puts another series to the chart, this orange one. We can give a name to our new series. Let's call it Background. Now in the second field you can see the series values. By default there is a single one here. It's just a constant number. If you look at the chart, this 1 will be actually 100%. This is exactly what we need. So let's hit OK. Hit OK again. We just need to recolor this second bar. Let's right click on it, Fill, and choose this 5% gray. Good. Now we will need to slide this gray bar below the blue one somehow. It's possible. Make sure that one of the bars is selected and click on this last series options button. The solution is the series overlap option. Drag the slider all the way to the right. Now the gray bar hides the blue one. We just need to bring the blue to the front. Right-click on the bar, go to Select Data again. The only thing we need to do is to change the order of this series. Let's click on Series 1, which is the blue bar, and click on this down arrow to move it down. Perfect. Hit OK. Now let's click on the inverse icon. Hit Ctrl X to cut, click on the chart frame and hit Ctrl V to paste. With the right arrow key on the keyboard, let's move it into position. Excellent. Let's test it. But first, let's hide the horizontal grid lines. Chart Elements, uncheck Grid Lines. Let's see 0%. Good. 1%. Good. 99%. Good. 100%. Let me zoom in. You can also use Ctrl-Alt+ to zoom in. I grab this node to change the height of the inverse icon. Something like this. Alright, it seems fine. Let me go back to 100% zoom level. You can also use Ctrl-Alt- to zoom out. Let's select the vertical axis. You can hit Delete to hide it, or you can uncheck this checkbox. Let me drag this node to the left to hide this line, and pull this right one to center the icon. Now the good thing in that we inserted the icon inside the chart frame is that we can resize them together. So if I take the chart narrower, the icon width will follow. Something like this will do. Great. Let me enter 85 so we can see the chart better. Now let's select the frame of the chart, right click and set outline to no outline. Now make sure that only the chart frame is selected and hit Ctrl D to duplicate the chart. And I grab this copy and move it somewhere here. We are going to create the female pair. Let's select column A by clicking on that. I'd like to insert a new column. We can do that by right-clicking on this selection and choose Insert, or with this column selected, you can hit Ctrl+ on the keyboard. I'll click on cell A1 and type in male. I hit Enter and type in female into cell A2. This time I finished the data entry with the Tab key. This way the active cell will be the one on the right. Now click on cell B2. Excel automatically formatted this cell to percentage when we entered percentage value for the first time. I set it back to general. Remember that 85% is basically 0.85. Now I click on cell B2 and start an Excel formula. A formula in a cell calculates something and it always starts with an equal sign. Our formula will be very simple. It will calculate the remainder based on the value in cell B1. So I type in 1 minus and I click on cell B1. Excel puts this cell reference into the formula, so the formula will use the value in cell B1 to calculate the result. I hit Enter. 1 minus 0.85 equals 0.15. Now let's select these two cells by clicking on cell B1 and dragging the mouse cursor to cell B2 and release. I click on this percentage button to format these cells. The cells have the same values, but now they are showing the values in percentage format. If I enter 65 in cell B1 and hit Enter, the formula in cell B2 will calculate the new result. Now, as you can see, our second chart is still showing the 65%. We need to change its data source to take the value from cell B2. But before that, let's click on the inverse icon on the second chart. Make sure that it's frame selected, hit Delete. We don't need this male icon on this chart. Let's select this blue bar, right-click, and hit Select Data. The background series is good as it is. Let's click on Series 1 and hit Edit. Now as the cursor is blinking in the series name field, let's click on cell A2. The cell reference gets into the series name field. So if we updated the title in cell A2, it would be reflected here in Chart Settings. Now the series values field is pointing to cell B1. Let's delete it from here and click on cell B2. Alright, now our second chart's data source has been set properly. Hit OK, hit OK again. Now it shows the female data 35%. As I'm changing male data, female data follows. Good. Now let's pick a color for our second chart. Color selection matters if you create something visual for people. So we will be sophisticated. We are going to use a design principle, a color harmony rule to pick the right one. First, I check the color code of our turquoise. On the Custom tab at the bottom, you can see this hexadecimal value. This identifies our color. Let's copy it. I hit Cancel. Now let me show you a great tool that you can use in your work. Even if you are not an expert in colors, this is a great help to create harmonic charts. This is a tool on the Adobe website. You can find a link in the resources of this lecture. This is the color wheel. On the left, you can choose from different color harmony rules. Let me paste our color code here. I'd like to find a complementary color for our turquoise. So I click on this one. Actually, I need to paste our color code again. This is our color. I'd like to get a similar saturation and brightness, so I pull this node outwards somewhere here. Let me paste our code again because I turned the wheel. So I'm going to use this complementary pair of our turquoise. Its color code is this one. Let me copy it. I hit Alt-Tab to go back to our Excel file. I click on this blue bar. And this time I set its color here on the Format Data Series panel. Let's go to Fill, in the drop-down, hit More Colors. And on the Custom tab at the bottom, paste our new color code. Hit OK. Now our second chart has this matching orange tone. Now make sure that our second chart is selected. Let's go to Insert, Pictures, this device. I double click on the female inverse icon file and it's inserted inside the chart area. Now it would be pretty hard to click on its corner nodes to resize it. Instead, let's check the width of the other one. Ctrl-C to copy it to the clipboard. Click on the orange one and paste the value. Hit Enter. Notice that the width and height values are linked together. As I changed the width, the height followed. But that's okay. We know that the width is correct, we just need to alter the height. Let's drag and drop it to the bottom of the chart and pull the upper node to somewhere here. Let's test it with different values. I'm changing only the male value because the female value is linked to it. Let me zoom in to see it better. I'm watching the orange chart. Maybe I need to change a little bit. And at the bottom as well. It looks okay to me. Now let me zoom back to 100% and close this Format Shape panel. Now hit Alt F10 to open the selection pane. This is a panel where you can see your objects on the worksheet. Currently we have only two charts. Let's name them. Double click on it to edit. Now click on a cell somewhere here. Go to Insert, but this time let's click on Shapes. We add the background frame to our charts. So let's click on this rectangle. The mouse cursor turns into a cross. Click and hold on the worksheet somewhere here and drag the mouse cursor to somewhere here. And release. Let's name our new object. Objects on the worksheet have a hierarchy. Now this blue rectangle is on the top, hiding the two charts. But if I click on this Send Backward button twice, it will go to the background. Good. Let's right-click on it, set the fill color to white, click on the outline and set it to this 15% gray. Let's reposition the charts a little. I click on the first object on the selection pane, hold down Ctrl and click the second one. Now I can drag and drop both of them somewhere here. Let's set the male value to 51 so they are not equal. Now let's add some textual elements to the charts. So let's go to Insert, Text Box, and click somewhere here at the level of the shoulders. The first information will be the percentage value. But of course, I'd like to make it dynamic. So we place a reference to the value field in the text box. If we want to do this, we need to start typing in the formula bar right here. So I enter the equal sign to start the formula and I simply click on cell B1. Excel automatically puts an absolute reference to this field in the formula. I hit enter. The value showed up next to the chart. That's great. Excel has technical glitches here and there. It has lost connection with the font type. Let's choose Calibri. And let's choose 48 in the size dropdown. Let's make it bold. And in the recent color section, click on our turquoise. I align this text box manually to the shoulders. Now let's insert another text box for the data title. I use the same method, but this time the reference cell will be A1. That's it. Let's format it. I click on the font color. Come on Excel. Let's click again. Good. Let's set the size to 24. And drag and drop it here. Now let's create a separator line. So go to Insert, but this time click on Shapes and Line. I click and hold with the left mouse button somewhere here. I drag the mouse cursor to the right. I hold down Shift on the keyboard to get a straight horizontal line and release. Under the Format menu, click on Shape Outline. Choose our color. Shape Outline again. Go to Weight, which refers to the line weight, and click on 3pt. Good. Now I'm pressing the up arrow on the keyboard to move this line upwards to somewhere here. Let's set the line width slightly smaller. 0.75 inches will be fine. Actually, I like to have a bold text here, so let's go to Home and click on the bold button, or you could use the shortcut key Ctrl-B. Text was getting wider, so let's adjust the line below. Now go to Insert again, hit Text Box, click somewhere here, and let's type in some description for the chart. I resize it, move it into position. I left align everything here. Let's set this 50% gray for its color. It seems okay to me. Let's name the objects properly on the selection pane. It's a good practice to keep things organized. I changed the order as well. Now I select all of these new objects holding down Ctrl on the keyboard. I'd like to group them. I right-click here to get the context menu. No, the group menu item is not there. Let's start the selection over. This time I right-click here. And here we go. Let's click on Group and Group again. Now our selected objects have been grouped. Let's name it. Now I can move the entire group like this. But let me just undo with Ctrl Z. This position is just fine. Now make sure that the group is selected and hit Ctrl D to duplicate that. A copy has been created that I can drag and drop to next to the female icon. Let's drop it here intentionally in the wrong position. Now click on one of the groups, hold down Shift on the keyboard and click on the other group. Make sure that only these two groups are selected. Let's go to Format, Align drop-down and choose Align Top. Now the two groups are in the same position vertically. Let's select only the second group and hit the left arrow on the keyboard to move it to the left. I think it's okay now. Let's name the second group properly. Now what we need to do is to change the cell references in the text box. Let's click on the percentage one, go to the formula bar. B1 refers to the male value. We need cell B2 here. So let's correct the formula. Hit Enter. Unfortunately, Excel resets the formatting to the default, which is annoying. So click on the text box to select it. Let's go to Home. Let's set the size to 48. Make the text bold. And set the orange color. I select the title text box. I need to change the cell reference to A2. I need to play around with the size setting because Excel is not perfect. I set it to 24. Make the text bold and set the color. I select the line. This time I need to go to Format and set the shape outline color here. Let's fix the width of the line. I'm holding down Shift as I'm doing. If you struggle with selection on the worksheet area because objects are too close to each other, use the selection pane to select an object. Let me adjust the size here in the width field. Now let's select the frame. I take it a bit narrower like this. I hold down Shift and select all the elements. You could also do this on the selection pane holding down Ctrl. I right-click here and choose Group. Let's name the group. Now I can move all objects together. Alright, let's click off the chart area to see how it looks. What do you think? I think it's a pretty clean, eye-catching design with harmonic colors. Notice that I left white space around the elements to let them to breathe. This is one of the design principles that makes your visual representation better. Now let me do one last thing. I click on cell B2 and create a formula that can return random numbers. I'm going to use an Excel function called randBetween. We discuss Excel functions in detail in a separate section. Now it's enough to know that we can give two numbers as parameters to this function, and it will return a random number between them. I'd like to have a number between 1 and 100. Hit enter. Okay, we are working with percentages here, so we need to divide the result by 100 to get a random number between 0 and 1. Good. Now you can hit F9 on your keyboard to recalculate the random value. I'm pressing F9 now. And we get different values each time. This way you can test a chart like this. Let me close the selection pane. Alright. I hope you learned new things and found this lecture useful. As usual, you can find the completed Excel file in the resources. See you in the next video.